Carter, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're watching this with your morning coffee or winding down in the evening, welcome. This channel is all about helping you live more confidently, more comfortably, and with just a little more peace of mind. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered if the Social Security benefits you're receiving now are really the best you could be getting? Maybe you've been married before, maybe more than once. Maybe you even outlived one of your ex-husbands. And now you're asking yourself, can I switch to his benefits? Would I even qualify? It's not a silly question. In fact, it's one of the most common questions we hear from women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. So today, we're talking about something that could have a real impact on your monthly income, whether you can switch from your own Social Security benefits to a former husband's, especially after he passes away. And I'll tell you right now, the answer might surprise you. To help us understand all this, we've brought in someone very special. He's helped thousands of retirees navigate this very topic and is one of the most trusted Social Security advisors in the country. Please welcome Dr. Michael Harris.
Thank you, Lisa. It's such a pleasure to be here with you and all your viewers. I know this topic can seem a little confusing at first, but when we break it down, it becomes a lot more manageable. And for so many people, especially women who were married more than once, it can really make a difference in retirement income. So let's dig in.
We're all ears, Dr. Harris. Let's start at the beginning. If someone is currently receiving Social Security based on their own work history, is it even possible to switch to a deceased ex-spouse benefit?
It is. And honestly, most people don't realize that Social Security benefits are more flexible than they seem, especially when it comes to divorced spouses. Let's say you're a woman named Carol. Carol is 68 years old and currently receiving $1,100 a month based on her own work history. Years ago, she was married to a man named Robert. They divorced after 14 years. They both moved on with their lives, but Carol never remarried. Robert, however, did. If Robert passes away and he was receiving $2,400 a month in Social Security benefits when he died, Carol could be eligible to receive a survivor benefit based on his record, even though they were divorced. If she qualifies, she might switch from her $1,100 benefit to something much closer to what Robert was receiving, sometimes up to the full amount.
So she could go from $1,100 to, say, $2,200 or more. That's a massive difference. But how does someone know if they qualify?
That's the key question, and here's the good news. The rules are actually pretty straightforward. To qualify for a divorce survivor benefit, you must have been married to your ex-spouse for at least 10 years. That's non-negotiable. It has to be a legal marriage, and the 10 years must be consecutive. If you were married 9 years and 11 months, sadly, it won't count. Also, you must be at least 60 years old to claim a survivor benefit, or 50 if you're disabled. But here's an important detail. You can't be currently married. If you remarried before the age of 60, you typically lose your eligibility for those divorced survivor benefits.
Wait, let me make sure I heard that right. If someone remarries after 60, it's okay?
That's right. If you remarry after age 60, you're still eligible to collect survivor benefits on your former spouse's record. And many people just assume that getting remarried disqualifies you forever, which isn't true. It all depends on when you remarried. Now, if Carol never remarried at all, it's even simpler. She'd meet the marriage length requirement, the age requirement, and assuming Robert paid enough into Social Security, she could file for that survivor benefit.
That's incredible. So she could actually switch after he passes away?
Yes, and timing matters here too. If Carol is already receiving her own benefit, she doesn't have to cancel it. What happens is the Social Security Administration will look at both her benefit and the survivor benefit and give her the higher of the two. So she won't be getting both at the same time, but she'll get the one that pays more. And for those watching who aren't sure which benefit pays more, don't worry. You don't have to guess. When you apply, Social Security will calculate it for you. But you do need to request it. They don't always switch you over automatically.
That sounds like a missed opportunity if someone doesn't know to ask.
Exactly. I've met folks who went years not realizing they could have been collecting more. But once they file that request, usually by phone or at their local SSA office, they start receiving the higher survivor amount, and they can sometimes even get back pay depending on when they became eligible.
That's huge. Now, let me ask this. What if someone was married twice for more than 10 years each time, but both marriages ended in divorce? Can they still choose which ex-spouse benefit to claim?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. If both marriages lasted at least 10 years and the person is currently unmarried, they can choose the benefit that pays the most, even if one of those ex-spouses has passed away. So let's say Carol was married to Robert for 14 years, and then later to another man, Jerry, for 11 years. Both marriages ended in divorce, and both men have since passed away. Carol would compare the survivor benefits from both, based on each ex-husband's work history, and choose whichever one gives her the higher monthly amount.
Wow, that's something I bet a lot of people don't even realize is possible.
You're right. People often think, well, I was married twice. It must cancel out somehow. But it doesn't. Social Security looks at each marriage individually. As long as each one meets the criteria, you're eligible. You just can't receive benefits from both at the same time. You'll only get the one that pays the most.
So helpful, Dr. Harris. Thank you for breaking that down. I know a lot of our viewers are thinking through their own situations right now and probably realizing they may qualify for more than they thought.
I hope so. That's what we're here for, to shine a little light on options that too often get overlooked.
Now that we've explored what happens if you were married for 10 years or more and what remarriage means for your benefits, let's continue with what to actually do next. How to apply, what documents you'll need, and how timing can affect your payout. We're back with Dr. Michael Harris, and I have to say, this has already been eye-opening. So many of our viewers are probably thinking, okay, I was married long enough, I qualify now, what? What's the next step, Dr. Harris? How do you actually do this?
That's where the rubber meets the road, Lisa. Once you've figured out that you may qualify for a survivor benefit based on your ex-husband's record, you'll want to contact the Social Security Administration directly. You can't apply for survivor benefits online if you're divorced. You need to do it by phone or in person. Now, I know that sounds a little old-fashioned, and for some folks it can feel a bit intimidating. But don't worry. You don't need to be a Social Security expert. You just need to be prepared. The more documentation you can gather ahead of time, the smoother it goes.
What kind of documentation are we talking about?
The big one is your marriage certificate, the one that proves you were legally married to your ex-spouse. You'll also need the divorce decree. Both of these documents help Social Security verify that the marriage lasted the required 10 years and ended legally. If your ex-husband has already passed away, you'll need to show proof of his death, a death certificate. And of course, bring your own Social Security number, birth certificate, and bank information if you want direct deposit. It might feel like a lot, but here's what I always say. Take a little time to gather those papers once, and it can result in a higher monthly check for the rest of your life.
That's a powerful trade-off. A little legwork now for a better retirement in the long run.
Exactly. And don't be discouraged if you don't have every document right away. In many cases, the Social Security office can help track things down, but it's always faster if you bring in what you can.
Let's talk about timing, because that's another thing people get confused about. If someone is already receiving their own Social Security and then their ex-husband dies, is there a time limit to switch over?
There isn't a strict deadline, but there is something called retroactive pay, and it's important to understand. Let's go back to our friend Carol. If Robert passed away and Carol waited, say, 8 months to apply for a survivor benefit, she might still be able to get back payments for those months she was eligible but hadn't applied yet. Usually, Social Security allows up to 6 months of retroactive survivor benefits, so the sooner you apply, the better. You don't want to leave money sitting on the table. That said, you won't lose the right to claim just because you waited a while. You just might not get all the back pay you were eligible for.
I see. So, if someone finds out a year after their ex passed away, they can still apply. They just might not get everything they missed?
That's right, it's still worth applying. Don't let the timing stop you. And one more thing, some folks worry they'll lose their Medicare or other benefits if they make a change. But switching to a survivor benefit doesn't take anything else away. It's just a different payment source. Your Medicare stays the same, and your taxes usually don't go up unless your total income goes quite a bit higher.
That's really reassuring. I think some people feel like if they rock the boat, they'll mess something up.
Absolutely. I've heard people say, I didn't want to mess up what I was getting, so they never asked. But in reality, switching can often bring more financial comfort, not less.
You mentioned earlier that someone can't collect both their own benefit and their ex-husband's at the same time. But what if their own benefit was more? Can they stay on their own instead?
They absolutely can. Social Security will compare both benefits, the one based on your work record and the one based on your ex-husband's, and they'll pay you the higher of the two. So if Carol was receiving $1,800 a month on her own, and Robert's survivor benefit would only give her $1,600, she stays with her own. But if his record gives her $2,200, she'll be switched over. It's always one or the other, never both.
That's simple enough. Let me ask about working after you start getting that survivor benefit. Does that affect anything?
Great question. If you're under your full retirement age, usually between 66 and 67 depending on your birth year, then yes, working can reduce your Social Security benefits. That rule applies whether you're receiving your own benefits or survivor benefits. But once you reach full retirement age, that earnings limit goes away. You can work as much as you want and still receive your full benefit.
So for someone who's, say, 70 and receiving survivor benefits, there's no penalty for continuing part-time work?
Correct. And for a lot of folks, that's good news. They want to stay active or supplement their income without worrying about a penalty. After full retirement age, your benefit is safe no matter how much you earn from a job.
That's so helpful, especially for people who like staying busy or just need a little extra every month.
And I'll add one more thing here. Even if your ex-husband remarried after your divorce, that doesn't affect your right to collect a survivor benefit. His current wife may also qualify if she meets the requirements, but Social Security allows multiple people to collect based on one person's record if they're eligible. You won't be taking anything away from anyone else.
So 2 women could be receiving survivor benefits off the same man's record?
Yes, and sometimes even more than that. I've seen situations where a man had 3 long-term marriages that each lasted over 10 years, and after he passed, all 3 ex-spouses were eligible for survivor benefits. Again, Social Security doesn't split the amount. Each person gets what they qualify for individually.
Well, that certainly changes the way people think about this, doesn't it?
It does. It's not about drama. It's about fairness. Social Security was designed to protect people who spent years as part of a marriage, often giving up income or opportunities to support their spouse or raise children. Those years count, even after divorce.
That's beautifully said, and so important. People deserve to know what they're entitled to.
Exactly. These aren't loopholes. These are rules put in place for your protection.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. We've covered some incredibly helpful ground here. Knowing how to apply, what to bring, and understanding the timing. This is the kind of information people really need.
I'm so glad to be here, Lisa, and I truly hope this helps people feel more empowered to take that next step.
We're not done yet. There's still a little more to unpack, especially for those who are juggling more complex situations or want to make sure they're making the most of their Social Security. So let's keep going. Welcome back, everyone. We've had such a helpful and heartfelt conversation today with Dr. Michael Harris. We've talked about what happens when a divorced spouse passes away, how to know if you're eligible to switch to their Social Security benefit, and what steps to take to make it happen. Dr. Harris, before we wrap up, I want to ask about a situation I hear from viewers all the time. They say, Lisa, I think I qualify, but I just don't know if I'm making the right move. What if I switch and regret it? Can you speak to that uncertainty?
That's such a common feeling, Lisa, and I completely understand it. Retirement income decisions can feel very final, and nobody wants to make a mistake, especially with something as personal and long-term as Social Security. Here's the good news. You don't have to guess. You can speak directly to a Social Security representative before making any changes. Ask them to run the numbers for you. They'll compare what you're currently receiving with what you'd get under the survivor benefit. And once you see both options clearly, you can make a confident decision. It's not about rushing. It's about being informed.
That's so comforting to hear. You're not making a leap in the dark. You're just gathering facts.
Exactly. And I always remind people, asking questions doesn't lock you into anything. You have the right to understand your choices, and Social Security has people on staff specifically to help walk you through it.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Harris. What happens if your ex-spouse dies, but you don't know about it? Maybe you've lost touch or haven't spoken in years. Can you still claim survivor benefits later?
You can, and this happens more often than people realize. Life takes people in different directions, and it's common to lose contact with a former spouse, especially after a divorce. The key here is awareness. If you find out, whether it's months or even years later, that your former spouse has passed away, you can still apply. As long as you were eligible at the time of their death, you may be entitled to survivor benefits and potentially some back pay. So if there's any doubt or question in your mind, don't hesitate to ask Social Security to check. Give them your ex-spouse's name, date of birth, and any other information you have. They'll look into it for you. And remember, this doesn't affect your ex's current family or any other survivors. You're not taking away from anyone.
I can imagine that brings up a lot of feelings for people. Losing someone you once loved, even if life took you on different paths.
It really does. And I always tell people, grief doesn't follow a straight line. Whether it's sorrow, gratitude, or even unresolved emotion, it's okay to feel it all. What matters now is taking care of you, and that includes honoring the years you gave in those marriages. Many women supported their husbands' careers, raised families, or gave up their own opportunities. That work counts. Survivor benefits aren't a handout. They're a recognition of what you contributed, even if it was decades ago.
That really speaks to me, and I know it speaks to our audience too. You're not asking for something you didn't earn. You're simply making sure your retirement reflects the life you've lived.
Exactly right. And if there's one thing I'd want everyone watching to take away, it's this. Don't assume anything. Don't assume you don't qualify. Don't assume it's too late. And definitely don't assume you're stuck with the amount you're getting now. A single phone call can open up options you never knew you had.
That's powerful. Before we go, what would you say to someone watching who's still unsure? Someone who's thinking, maybe this applies to me, but I don't know where to start.
Start with curiosity. That's it. You don't need to have all the answers, and you don't need to take action today. But write down your questions. Call your local Social Security office. Ask them, do I qualify for survivor benefits on my ex-husband's record? They'll guide you from there. And if you're more comfortable talking to someone first, reach out to a financial advisor or Social Security consultant in your area. There are people who want to help, and you deserve to have all the information before you decide anything.
You really do. And if you're watching this right now and thinking, this was me, this is my situation, we want you to know you're not alone. There are thousands of women out there in the very same place, and you have more support and more options than you might think.
That's right. Retirement doesn't mean giving up control. It's about reclaiming your time, your choices, and yes, your financial confidence.
So friends, if you've ever wondered whether you could switch from your own Social Security benefit to your ex-husband's after he passes away, now you know it's absolutely possible. And you don't have to figure it all out on your own. Leave a comment below if this spoke to you. Maybe you have a question about your own benefits or something you're still not quite sure about. Ask away. This channel is a place for you to be seen, heard, and supported. And if you found today's video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've got more honest, useful conversations coming your way, and we don't want you to miss a thing.
Thank you again, Lisa. And thank you to everyone watching. It's been a privilege to be part of this conversation.
You're welcome back anytime, Dr. Harris. Now, to everyone tuning in, take good care of yourselves. Keep asking questions. Keep standing up for what you've earned. And don't ever stop learning. Your future is worth it. Before you go, I'd love to know what's on your mind today. Is there something about your health, your retirement, or your peace of mind that you're wondering about? Drop it in the comments, and who knows, we might answer your question in our next video. Until next time, stay safe, stay hopeful, and take good care.